Welcome to Cheryl's Home Cooking, and today I'm going to show you how I make my family's favorite meatballs and spaghetti sauce. So the first thing that I did is I preheated my oven to 350 so that this way here when I roll my meatballs, my oven's already preheated to help start them get along. To the top of my stove here, I already have my sauce in here, and what I used is one 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, one 28-ounce can of tomato puree, and 2 cans, the 28-ounce of tomato sauce. And then one small can, I believe it's about 6 ounces of tomato paste to help thicken my sauce. So I'm going to put my sauce on low. The reason why I'm using this big pot is that once the meatballs are partially cooked in the oven, I'm going to place them in my sauce and let them simmer all day. And I like to make a lot in bulk because I find it's more helpful for me that if I make it in bulk and then I'll use it like tonight and then I can freeze it, and then like if another week or two down the road if I feel like spaghetti, I don't have to go through the whole process of making the sauce because I freeze some of it. So I buy my hamburger in bulk. So I'm going to start with a little over 5 pounds of hamburger because this does make a lot of meatballs, and like I said, I like to freeze it. So I'm going to place my meat in my large bowl here. To my hamburger, what I'm going to add is 2 eggs. I have 1 diced red bell pepper, 1 large one or 2 small ones. I have 1 diced white onion. And I'll chop up a little garlic. Okay, so now I'm going to dice up my garlic. Just chop it up fine. And all this gets cooked in when I put the meatballs in the oven, and then I let it simmer in the sauce all day. To this, I'm going to add 1 cup at a time. I have 2 cups of breadcrumbs. And if I need more than the 2 cups, just add a little bit more, but it should take the 2 cups. Now I'll blend this all in. And I find the best way to do it is just to use your hands. I added a little bit more breadcrumbs, so it's about 2.5 cups total that I used. And I'm just making sure it's all mixed well. Now I'll take a little bit of salt, pepper, and I'm going to mix that in as well. Now that I have that all mixed, I'll just make them into little meatballs. You can make them how big or how small you'd like them. And I'll place them on my baking tray here. It usually makes about 35 meatballs. And like I said, I like to freeze some of it. So that this way here, if I want spaghetti and meatballs in the future, I don't have to worry about going through all this again. It's already made. So I find it easier buying in bulk and making it this way. Now that my meatballs are all rolled, mine made 34. It's usually about 34, 35, depending on the size of your meatballs. So I kind of made them like medium size. So now I'm going to place them in my oven. Then I'll just keep an eye on it. About 15 minutes I'll look at it and then turn them over, and then for another 15 minutes. So about 30 minutes in the oven, and then like I said, the rest of the way it'll cook in your sauce, because I like to have it simmer about, usually about 6 hours. I like to have my sauce simmer. This way here the sauce kind of really gets into the meatballs. To my sauce I'm going to add the seasoning. I have 2 tablespoons of oregano, 2 tablespoons of basil leaf, and 2 tablespoons of parsley. I'm going to mix this in. You can see how nice the sauce is thickening with that tomato paste. I'll add a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. I have 1 teaspoon of crushed red peppers that I'm going to add to my sauce, and 2 tablespoons of white sugar. I'm going to mix this in. Then I'm going to add 4 ounces of Romano cheese. The cheese also helps thicken the sauce as well. So I'll just add the cheese to the sauce. So now I'll just let this simmer till I'm ready to place my meatballs in the sauce. To my sauce as well, I like to fry up a little bit of white onion and 1 red bell pepper. You can use 2 small ones or 1 large one. This is a pretty large one, so I'm just going to use this one. I'm going to place it in my frying pan along with some garlic, and once that's all sauteed, then I'll add that to my sauce to give it a little bit more flavor. So just cut up your onion, you know, small, dice it small, because I'm just going to saute it in the pan with the red pepper and the garlic. I have my stove on medium. I'll place a little bit of olive oil inside the pan. I'll place my onion in, and now I'll cut up the red pepper. Once this is cooked and then it simmers in the sauce, it kind of melts down a little bit, so it's really soft and tender. So I'll just stir this around, and then once this, once I have it all mixed, I'm going to go cut my garlic and then put my diced garlic in. So leave your stove between medium, low. I'm using 3 garlic cloves because they're very small, and I also have garlic in my meatballs, so I'm trying to stay with the same theme so that this way here everything blends in and tastes really good. So I'll kind of mince up the garlic. Now I'll place that to my red bell pepper and onion. I'll just mix it in. You can see that the onion is turning a little translucent. A few more minutes and then I'll take this out of the frying pan and then put it into my pan over here where the sauce is. I'll take a peek on my meatballs. You can see they're starting to turn. They're lightly golden brown on the bottom, but I'll wait a couple more minutes and then I'll flip them. My red pepper, onion, and garlic is ready now to go in the sauce. You can see how nicely it's translucent, the onion, and the peppers are softened. So now I'll place that in my sauce. And now I'll mix it in. It's been about 15 minutes, so now I'm going to take my meatballs out and flip them. You can see how they browned up even on the top, but I'm going to flip them so that the other side's got like a little crust on it. You can see how it turned golden brown on the bottom. So I'll let them bake on the other side for about 15 minutes and then I'll place them in my sauce. So like I said, it's a total half hour in the oven and then about 6 hours simmering on the top of the stove in your sauce. And you'll see how good these meatballs taste by having the meatballs simmer in with the sauce. See how nicely golden brown they are? And they'll cook the rest of the way, like I said, in the sauce. That's why I like to have them simmer. And I'll place them one by one right in my sauce. Any red bell pepper or onion that's on here, just scrape it and throw that right in your sauce. So now I'll lightly drop the meatballs into the sauce more so that they're all coated. Now that my meatballs are in the sauce and they'll simmer, like I said, for about 6 hours, and in that time then I can make my noodles, and I'll show you how I make my homemade garlic bread that goes with this. Oh, it's really, really good. It's been almost 6 hours that my meatballs have been simmering in my sauce. So what I'm going to do now before I actually eat my pasta and meatballs is I'll show you a little piece of how I make my garlic bread. So I just have a little piece of French bread here and I cut it down the middle. I have a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of garlic salt, granulated garlic salt. And I have a teaspoon of parsley flakes. You can see how it's supposed to look. So what I'm going to do now is I have my oven on broil, and I'm just going to butter both sides of this bread, and then I'll place that under my broiler until I see the bread and the butter turn to a little golden brown. It doesn't take long. I'm going to turn off my oven and take my bread out. You just want it lightly toasted and the butter melted. So I'll close it up, place it over here. Kind of hot to handle, so I'll cut a little piece. I'm going to add a little salt and pepper to my meatball. Take a piece of my nice garlic bread. And like I said, with this sauce, just make your favorite noodles. I like either the long, thin spaghetti noodles or the penne noodles. It's whatever you prefer. So I'll try the meatball. It's so nice and tender. Like I said, it's been simmering in the sauce for about 6 hours. So I'm going to dip my garlic bread in the sauce. Nice and buttery and garlicky. I love it. And this is really actually a quick meal to make. I know it sounds like, you know, all day because you are simmering your meatballs. But like I said, it's better to make it in bulk. I find it easier that way for my family. And then I can just separate it and then freeze it. And whenever I'm in the mood for pasta and sauce with the meatballs, I already have it made and I don't have to go through this whole process. So I highly recommend making this meatballs in the sauce. It's really, really good. And this garlic bread, it really tops it. So look for me on Twitter and Facebook. And feel free to send me any kind of emails or comments. I look forward to them. And I thank you so much for tuning in to Cheryl's Home Cooking, and I'll see you next video. Bye-bye.